Thank you for tuning in to Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. I am music producer Achickwitbeatz.
And I'm entrepreneur Breezy Gipson.
And we really appreciate you joining us today. And of course, we appreciate our home stations, Grander Radio broadcasting out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Sparks Radio broadcasting out of Denver, Colorado. And, we're just glad that we get to do this with you again.
Salute, salute, salute.
Yes, and so as usual, we've got another fantastic show lined up with beats by yours truly, music industry news. And you want to tell them who's coming back to join us today?
Oh, man. Yeah, there are some people in this world, but then again, there are some extra special people in this world. And today, one of the extra special people in this world is joining us, the one and only Mr. Al Burroughs.
Yes. So, all right, without any further ado, we want to give this good show to you. So let's go ahead.
Okay, let's do it.
back with music industry news. The House Judiciary Committee approved the bill requiring radio stations to have to pay royalties to the performers. So, it's not quite done yet. There's some more steps that it has to go through. So, the American Music Fairness Act has to get through the full House and then also meet approval from the Senate and the president before it's actually signed into law. But hey, it's a step in the right direction. So everybody that's involved with the song can actually get paid from it instead of only songwriters. So hey, any win in this category is a win, wouldn't you say?
I would say a true, total win. Yes, it is.
And Ticketmaster, once again, had to apologize. So there was this huge fiasco with the Bad Bunny concert that was in Mexico. So the company basically promised to refund people who purchased actual legitimate tickets, but were still denied entry at the venue after a quote unquote unprecedented number of people were sold fake tickets. So I mean, it's about time for the whole Ticketmaster system to have a complete overhaul, because that's absolutely bananas that something like that could happen and go down. So they're offering apologies and promising to pay back some people, but yeah, we'll see what happens. And as we get more information, as info kind of rolls out, we'll roll it right on to you. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, these days, criminals are extremely sophisticated. And sometimes the criminals originate from within different systems at different places. And they spend a lot of energy, negative energy, in my opinion, for the wrong reasons. That negative energy is going towards theft, number one. And so, it's a real sad scenario that we have in the world today. It didn't just start, unfortunately, but it seems to continue across so many different facets of life. So, hey, I hate it spiraled up to this level, but it just has. It's a sad thing.
And I mean, you mentioned that about theft. It's almost the perfect segue into the next story, which is an LA rapper bragged about committing pandemic relief fraud in his music video. And so now he's sentenced to prison. So his real name is Fontrell Antonio Baines, aka Nuke Bizzle. So he got 77 months in federal prison and ordered to pay $704,760 in restitution. So basically, they said that he got over $700,000 just by exploiting the pandemic unemployment benefits in California. He did this from July 2020 all the way up through September of 2020. But apparently, he was using all these different names and just kept opening up cards to be able to steal the money. So now he's got to pay for it. But yeah, he didn't just do it. He was proud of doing it. And yeah, bragged about it in his video, showing all the money that he got. So yeah. It sounds like you have some thoughts. Why don't you go ahead and share them with us?
Oh, OMG.
Yeah.
OMG. I mean, come on. But as I was saying, a lot of people, they put that energy, that negative energy towards negative things and negative situations and negative actions. And it's not a good thing. So in this case, came back to bite him. And wow, that's all I can say is wow.
Yeah. So, once again, kind of word to the wise, if you're in music, might want to stay away from doing illegal activities, or if not, maybe don't put them in your music. But yeah, just be careful with your content. Let's put it that way.
Yes, and the reason I made the comments on the last two news stories like that is because on the business side, I have a business background in identity theft prevention. Okay, and so there's just a lot going on. A lot of energy is just directed and spent towards trying to outthink certain systems these days. And Some of it's successful, some of it's not, but the folks, nevertheless, they relentlessly keep trying to find ways to break through different systems. And, it's an unfortunate, because it hurts a lot of folks, including you and I and all the listeners too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, producer 30 Rock and Roddy Ricch are being sued for copyright infringement. So musician Greg Perry filed the suit against Roddy Ricch and Atlantic Records for using a quote-unquote complete duplication of portions of his song Come On Down in the infamous song In the Box without permission. So, this is something that you see a lot in the underground, more so than you do like with major stars. So it's kind of interesting that they wouldn't do what they needed to do to get that sample cleared. It probably wouldn't have been an issue. Definitely something that could have been avoidable with a major record label deal. But yeah, kind of interesting. But word to the wise, just be careful if you're in a situation like that. Do your best to kind of cross your T's and dot your I's to make sure that it doesn't come back on you like this.
Yeah. Makes sense to do that. That's for sure. Wow.
Mm-hmm. All right. And some fun statistics that were revealed. There are more than 1 trillion song streams there were more than 1 trillion song streams in 2022 in the US alone. We're not even done with the year. So people are really, really absorbing it through streaming. So, hey, the more platforms your music can be on, the better chance that you can be heard. But that's a lot of streams for 1 year. And the leaders of the pack were Harry Styles, Taylor Swift, and Kate Bush. And according to some of the trends, streaming might peak probably this year. This is probably as good as it's going to get for a while just because growth is slowing. But even though there was double-digit growth before, and this time it's lower, there's still other parts of the world that are thriving with streaming music, and of course more that could be growing there. So, just a heads up and some interesting facts to be aware of.
It was just last night when I saw some statistics concerning actually one young lady, Miss Azah. And yeah, breaking some records with that. And hopefully before this show is over, I'll be able to come back with those statistics if I can locate it real quickly.
Okay. Well, we have time. We're going to take a quick pause for the cause, and then we'll be back with more music industry news right after this.
Okay.
back with more music industry news. Music now has over 616 million paying streaming subscribers globally. So, hey, that's a huge figure, something that was a lot lower before in the past. I can't remember the last stats that we shared with you last year, but that's some tremendous growth, and it's letting you know that people are actually starting to value music to be able to contribute to it directly without commercials and ads. So something definitely to be aware of. This was according to Media Research. And so, yeah, that 616.2 million was at the end of the first half of 2022. So, yeah, it was an increase of 17.6% or 92.3 million from the same time last year. So that's phenomenal growth, wouldn't you say?
Oh, man, phenomenal. Phenomenal. Where does it stop? I guess it never stops.
Yeah. And just in case you're not aware, I know we've mentioned it a few times on the show before, but that actually affects how you get paid, whether or not the listener is listening to it from a platform that they've subscribed to, or if they're listening to it, the ad-supported version. So it's less music royalties for you if they're using ads to support it, but you get more if it's actually a paying subscriber. So, hey, heads up, some good things happening here, some good numbers to know, and yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Yes, and quickly I was able to get that information, and I probably pronounced the name wrong in error, but and I apologize for that, but
SZA.
Actual, yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And she became the first Black female artist to reach the number one spot of the most streamed artists daily, ranking on global Spotify after that release of SOS. And then she surpassed Bad Bunny by being the number one most streamed artist on global Spotify.
And that's a huge feat because his numbers are crazy these days. So she surpassed him, and that's really phenomenal, and kudos to her. She's got an incredibly loyal fan base, which basically comes from offering quality music and kind of conducting herself pretty well on social media. So there's always some what do you call them, like when you're in school, the case studies, artists that you can kind of check out with some of the success they're having and see how you can mirror that in your own way, something that fits for you and your career.
You say, well, where do these artists keep coming from? Where do they keep coming from? They put in the hard work. They practice their craft, and they surround themselves with people who are capable in different levels of business. So shouts out to her, because becoming that number one streaming artist, in that time period recently, that's a huge accomplishment, as well as a financial payoff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and also to note, it's kind of interesting for her to have those kind of numbers, but she doesn't put out music so frequently the way that many artists have kind of been coaxed to do these days. So her fan base was hungry for that music. So when it finally dropped, they were that anxious to go ahead and get it. So, hey, it's okay to take your time. The machine always wants to keep being fed. You always hear anytime Spotify has the webinars where they're like, the more music you put out, the better chance you have of growing your following, which is true. But it's a machine asking you to continue to feed it with content so that way they can keep subscribers there. So while it might be in their best interest, it might not necessarily be in yours if you can kind of build up that anticipation a little bit the same way that SZA did. So, hey, if you got it in you and you want to keep putting it out frequently, go ahead and go for it. But sometimes it's kind of nice to build that suspense and have people hungry as soon as it drops.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't do it like I did. Practice pronouncing their name, and then when I got in the spotlight, I mispronounced it. So.
Oh no, oh no, you're good. It's not like there's a lot of vowels and consonants together, but yeah, yeah, that's kind of a thing that I've noticed with some artists and substituting vowels with X's, and half the time I don't know how to pronounce stuff either, which is typically why I'm spending, I don't know, at least maybe one or two news stories apologizing for how I may have said something, but yeah. All right, TuneCore has paid out $3 billion to self-releasing artists to date. So once again, according to media, they estimate that independent labels and independent artists are generating $9.9 million combined. At least that's how much they did in 2021. So the artist direct segment alone drove 1.5 billion of that figure. So hey, it's a lot of power coming to the indies. Some people are still seeking those big label deals, which does offer you a nice lump sum loan up front. But man, it's something powerful about remaining independent for as long as you possibly can and doing it for yourself.
Well, you always got to take care of yourself first. So, in just about every realm in this life we live in, take yourself first. Take care of yourself first.
Yes.
So, enough said.
Yeah, Keith Urban has decided to take care of himself and sell his recordings catalog to Litmus Music. So it includes 10 multi-platinum, platinum, or gold certified studio albums. So that's all three. And one of those greatest hits compilations is included in that as well. He's had 24 number one songs and a record-breaking 36 consecutive top fives. So
that requires repeating. That requires repeating. Say that again.
Oh man. Okay. So the catalog includes 10 multi-platinum, platinum, or gold certified studio albums, and he's had 24 number one songs and a record-breaking 36 consecutive top fives. Consecutive.
Hey, he went to work, didn't
he? He went to work. And so, after making money off of that all this time throughout his career, he's decided to sell those rights and take that in a lump sum. And I do not blame him. He got paid. So another catalog deal in the books. People said that these would be slowing down, but hey, we've still got these to report. So time will tell.
Yep. And the bottom line is he went to work, boy.
Mm-hmm. All right, last up, this is basically just a heads up for any New Edition or New Jack Swing fans that might be listening, or if you know somebody that is. But the New Edition 30 City Legacy Tour brings back what they're calling the New Jack Swing Extravaganza with Keith Sweat, Guy, and Tank. So tickets are going to be available to the general public. They were available yesterday, Friday, December 16th at 10 a.m., whatever the local time was. Tickets range anywhere from $59.50 to $179.50. So if you want more information on that or want to click and go ahead and grab your tickets, you can visit Achickwitbeatz.com in the Beats, Leaks, and Treats blog and get that information right there.
There you go. Mr. Telephone Man, Mr. Telephone Man. I can't sing, y'all, but I remember telling you.
Yes. All right, we're going to take another quick pause for the cause, and then we'll be back with our special guest right after this.
Okay.
How would you like to see an online platform that brings you people who've already indicated that they're interested in your particular type of business? Whether it's your music you're selling, hip-hop clothing, you got a restaurant or a cafe, or if you're an entrepreneur or agent for a business. Visit me at breeze2cheese.com. That's using the number 2, breeze2cheese.com, or click my bio link on my Instagram profile to see a live demo of how this can help you get more customers and make more money.
Hey, this is Achickwitbeatz. I am a multi-genre music producer and strategist to indie artists and labels. Visit my website, achickwitbeatz.com, for resources for artists and instrumentals available in various genres for songs, vlogs, blogs, podcasts, themes, TV, film, commercials, and more. Once again, that's achickwitbeatz.com, ACHICKWITBEATZ. Let's make something happen.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, all around the globe. We are just pleased as punch. No pun intended. To have our guest today, a man of many ways, a man of many reasons, and without any further ado, he's traveled the world, extensive music industry background, extensive business background, and is here to share one more time. So without any further ado, the one and only Mr. Al Burroughs. Al, are you with me?
I'm cool, man. That was much better than last time. Last time you had me weak.
Okay.
Last time I can live with that.
Okay. So for those listeners out there who perhaps did not hear Al the last go round, you're new to our show, or something was happening, you were working and you couldn't do it at the time. So give our listeners a capsule synopsis back of your background and who actually is the one and only Mr. Al Burroughs.
Okay, yeah, for the people who weren't here the last time. I'm originally from Chicago, been in Atlanta 45 years. I used to say 45 years now. And on the recording studio for roughly 16 years. And left that, went into live sound, did some work with speech, Arrested Development, SOS Band for about 16 years, and More State for the past 5. Hit Billboard Top 40 twice, and hope to hit it a few more times before I get out of here. So that's the game plan. So that's it in a nutshell. Obviously, there's a whole lot of other stuff in between all of that. But I think the most interesting thing, if I was to say anything, was the impact that I always use the term we, because it's never just a me thing. The impact that we had in the studio with people who you may not find out about till 10, 15, 20, 30 years later. There's people who said all these platinum records on the wall are because of what I heard talking to you or coming to one of your events. So you got a lot of that out there that you may or may not hear about. So those are the little things that go on in the background. But for the most part, that's it.
Mm. You said a mouthful that time. I mean, mouthful of impactful, true to life information right there.
Yeah, and really, when you think about it, everybody has that. Everybody is at one time helping somebody or giving somebody some advice, and you may never hear about it. You may never talk to that person, or it might be 20 years, 30 years, 40 years later, and they'll come back and say, "Hey, you changed my life," and you have no idea.
Yeah.
I think most people do that.
Well, actually, your opening statement changed my. I got a point. You say you spent some time with speech and arrested development. Oh my gosh! A while back, I did go to see Arrested Development at the fabulous Fox Theater in Atlanta on Peachtree Street, and they were on the show with In Vogue.
Wow!
And they opened for In Vogue, and but the sound. I don't know whether that was you or not, but the sound that night was out. It was just oh my gosh.
That's interesting that you say that. The shows we just had in Philly last weekend, Morris was like, man, hey, the sound was great. I said, we got to understand, Morris, you guys are good in the first place. It's my job not to mess it up. So, you have certain groups that are like that where, it's like making, it's like messing up breakfast. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you mess up breakfast. That says a whole lot about your cooking if you messed up breakfast.
Yeah.
Man, because that particular night when they played that song, Tennessee, oh my gosh. Just blew the roof off the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let me get out the way. Let me get out the way because I know Achickwitbeatz has got questions for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, basically with what you said about how they sound good, but it's your job not to mess it up. So I guess when you feel that way, what kind of inspired the pride that you take in what you do to be able to say, like, you know what, this is my job to make sure that they're sounding crisp, sounding clear. The audience is having a phenomenal time. Like, how did that come about for you to take that kind of pride in it?
It comes from the studio thing. With the working in the studio and doing mixes, for all those years, not only on my stuff, but other people's stuff. I mean, Arrested Development stuff at the time, all of that before they got their deal. Your life or your income depended on doing good work. So I couldn't let bad work leave the studio. Otherwise, the word would get out that you do bad work. So same thing applies if you're doing good work. If you do good work, then it sells your business and you don't have to advertise because it's being advertised for you. So when I mix, you have a lot of engineers when they mix, they just get the mix up and they kind of like just leave it there. Whereas I'm working, if anybody's ever heard one of my shows, it may start out good, it may start out bad, but it always ends on a good note because I work on the sound through the whole 45 minutes, hour and a half, whatever the show might be. I'm working on the sound the whole time. So I'm always making it better, always making it better, always making it better. Because I believe that, especially with live shows, it's all about what you start with and what you end with, but particularly what you end with. That's why if you look at really good shows, they have that little dip in the middle where they'll do some ballads or something like that. They'll slow it down a little bit. You heard the band say, oh yeah, well, let's slow it down a little bit, because they come out on fire, they end on fire, and you slow it down in the middle, so but what people generally remember at a concert is what you give them on the front end and what you give them on the back end, particularly what you give them on the back end.
Wow.
So it's real. So I know that as long as I'm not a give up type of person anyway. I believe in myself and I believe in my craft. I believe in what I'm doing. And so I know that, like I said, even if things start out kind of rough, I get paid to make things better. The venues change, the sound of the venue changes, the sound of the equipment changes. The band is on, off, band members have bad days just like everybody else, sometimes you have everybody up on stage is messing up. Then you have certain days where everybody on stage is on fire, so it's not an exact science because it's an art. But in terms of what, of my approach and why I try to get really great quality every single time, it's because I believe that's what should be. You should be reaching for your absolute best 24/7. There should be no days off, when you're working like that.
Yeah.
So you're representing yourself and you're representing the band. So you can't mail it in. You got to make sure you deliver.
Yeah.
Now that's a strong statement right there. You can't mail it in.
Yeah. I mean, and think about it. When I look at the people who are successful, that's exactly what they do. I mean, they're all, and that's why it's so important to love what you do. If you're doing something you really don't like doing, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be good at it. But the inverse is true. If you love what you do, 9 times out of 10, you'll be great at it.
Wow.
Because of the amount of hours you got to put in, I know the only thing I can do all day without eating is working on the tracks. And Beats, I know you know.
Yes.
I know you know.
Yes.
You be in there all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and say, oh man, I didn't eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Well, let me go grab a snack.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So
and conversely, do you find that happens at night sometimes?
What's that?
In the studio all night.
Oh no, I work until I drop, and then because I've spent probably half my life, literally, I would probably say I probably had spent half my life sleeping on a couch. You know, because I always have a couch in the studio, and most studios have a couch, but you work, and if you're working like that, where you're just all in, you just work till you drop, and where you go from the chair to the couch, and you get up. You might get up and go to bed, but you wind up on the couch. Right.
But that perspective right there, that helps a lot of listeners out there. Yeah, that you're that focused on your craft, and you're paying attention to detail, and you want it the way it's supposed to be, the way that you want it to be. So you'll stay in there till you get it right.
Yeah, and get it right is a very subjective term. I think that and again, we're talking Miss Beats territory here, because getting it right, you can work on something. There have been songs that I worked on for over a year because I just couldn't get it right. You don't know what it is that you hear in your head, but you know that you haven't gotten there yet. And then you've got certain songs that just you put down the drum track, and then everything just flows out, and you're done in a day or two. Because everything just comes right out. So that when I say getting it right is a subjective term, there have been times like even on the last album, there was a couple songs where I just had to let it go. Because it's just like this, everybody, I think you and I, or the three of us, have talked about when the story about Berry Gordy waiting on Stevie Wonder to deliver songs in the key of life, and how he missed several due dates, which we talked about back then. Was you've got marketing, you've got printing, you've got graphics, you got all this stuff that's got to be done, and so when you miss a due date, it just messes everything up for a label that has other artists that they have to. So when Stevie was saying, "Well, I'll give it to you when I get it right," that drove Berry Gordy crazy. Like, Stevie, look, we got money, invested in these due dates. So so like I said, the last album, I just had to just let it go. I didn't like it, but you can work to the point where you just I've got some other stuff I can say about that, but I'll leave that right there.
Yeah, like there's a famous, I can't remember who said it, but the have no fear of perfection, for you'll never reach it. And I think sometimes as artists, it's kind of hard to grasp.
Much.
Yeah,
I will grab onto that. Thank you. I need that. Yeah. Perfection is kind of like a what do you call it? What do they call those the holes in space?
Oh yeah, like the black holes, or
the black holes, right? Yeah. They still don't. They know it. They know some kind of way it exists. They don't know what's on the other side, but they do know they exist, because we have one in the middle of our universe, not universe, but whatever our solar system, our galaxy. Yeah, we got one in the middle. They say it's a big one too, but but yeah, that's something that you just have to just work with. Just do your best within a certain amount of time, and let it go. Now, Prince, on the other hand, I think he's just a great example of somebody who could just, he had the ability to whip them out and make it good.
Man,
his bad stuff was good.
Truly, yeah.
As a matter of fact, go ahead.
I was going to say, when you're talking about something good, we know that you've got some good things in your bag. So I know we're talking about Prince right now, but let's kind of change the channel and talk about the Al Burroughs bag. The Al Burroughs bag of music, the bag of excellence, the bag of jazz, the bag of musicianship, instrumentals, and so on and so forth. So let's crack that bag open a little bit.
Man, I mean, I think that's what's interesting about all of that is that I think that people, when it comes to music, if you're allowing, and this is, I think, what made Prince so prolific and made him so good at what he did, when you allow people to dictate who you are musically, which we all know he fought that. Okay.
Yes.
And I kind of believe as he believed. But when you allow people to dictate musically what you're striving for, what you deliver, then what winds up happening is that you wind up being nowhere because you can't please everybody. You've got to go with who you are musically, and what you're feeling. So for me, matter of fact, I was in an Uber yesterday, and I don't really keep up very well with who's hot and who's not, but I heard some Lizzo yesterday, and I said to myself, I'm like, wait a minute, that's the same stuff that we were doing when I was coming up in high school. You know, if not high school, I mean, in my early 20s, I was like, that's the exact same style. That, you know, the same way when they talk about, you know, vibing, I'm like, okay, yeah, we were vibing in high school. You know, I mean, I'll go back and look at the records. You'll find the word vibe, you know, everywhere.
Yeah.
So I you know, for me in my music, I believe that, and we've talked about it, I believe that everything comes in circles. Everything goes around, comes around, you know. So when I heard what Lizzo was doing, then that really put a fire under me musically, because I know that that's music that I've already done, which gives me a head start on making that same style of music if that's what's hot. You know, so I listened to Lizzo. I heard something from her. I heard something from Beyonce. What is that what's that new song she got out? The latest one that belonged over everywhere. Cuff It or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm like, again, that's what, 80s?
Yeah.
Might be 80s. You know, it's R&B is what I'm saying. It's not hip hop.
Right.
This is just straight R&B stuff with a little bit of pop in it. So I just think that it's important to understand that, you know, the world, if you know, and especially since we talked about last time, now that I'm focusing on getting what I do online, which will hopefully allow it to live forever. Yeah. Not only will I be able to musically be in pocket through the particular cycle we're going through right now, but all the future cycles. You know, they say economically we go through cycles every 80 years because you got to have the old people, the people who went through a depression 80 years ago, they got to die off. And then the new generation will have to experience that same thing because it's, you know, that's what we do. We do the same thing that puts us through that same cycle again. So, you know, musically, I think that you have these cycles, and I think we're in one right now. I think that Bruno Mars, we've discussed him. Same thing. I mean, you know, everybody, he's just old school. Yeah, Lizzo, as far as I'm concerned, is old school. What Beyonce doing right now is old school. And guess what? They're cutting edge. That's the funny thing. They're considered to be cutting edge right now.
Right.
You know, but somebody's been around for 40, 50, 60 years. It's like, man, okay, yeah, I remember we were doing that. You know, the melodies, the music, the straight head kick drum, you know, boom, boom, boom. I mean, yeah, I remember that. Matter of fact, it's close to disco, which everybody hates.
Yeah, I saw so many articles after that saying, "Oh, Beyonce revived house music," and you know, being some of my other house music label mates were kind of like, "What? Like we haven't been doing this the whole time? What are you talking about?" But yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So for me musically, I think that, you know, and talking to the both of you, you know, my thing is I've been screaming from the rooftops. I think we did that interview last year.
Yeah.
And back then last year I was saying, now is our time. Now is our time. You heard me say it over and over again. You know, well, I believe that even more now. Now is our time. I mean, now is the time. If you're going to do any of that Bruno Mars, Lizzo / Beyonce cutting edge stuff right now, and you were doing that 40 years ago, now is your time to release this stuff. You've got nobody blocking your way. Nobody's in your way. Pay your little $15. Get your song online and keep writing.
That's a soundbite right there.
There you go. Read, write, write, record, release, 3 hours.
Yep. Soundbite.
rinse and repeat. Yeah. Well, so that's my thing right now. And you gotta love it, man. I mean, when you can see it, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, the two of you believe in your radio show, you have a belief in it. When you see that and you see the opportunity in it, then you can't help but put energy towards that.
Right.
You know, especially when you know you can fill that void.
Yes, sir.
I hope that answered your question.
It did.
Oh yeah.
A long way around, but
well, with the clock kind of staring us in the wall a little bit, let's quickly touch on your latest work, something that you got going on right now. And
Box of Chocolates.
What can you share with our listeners about that?
Yeah, Box of Chocolates. First track is almost done. Sexy Ninja. It's that one, and then I also got another one I'm working on. But right now, Sexy Ninja is the one I think that will be released first, along with the remake. I just got to find the right voice, which we can talk about. But yeah, it's something I wanted to do for the ladies, you know, and all the ethnicities. I want to represent all the ethnicities in the music. So Sexy Ninja is more about the sexy Asian. I got another one I woke up to, about 2 weeks ago? Just woke up out of a dead sleep and just mouthed or sang the bass line and the drum part into my cell phone. You know, woke up out of bed, grabbed my phone. Funky Soul Sister. That's what it's called, Funky Soul Sister. And it's gonna be funky, you know, and that's what it's about, you know. It's the Soul Sisters, you know. So that's really what the whole album is gonna be about. It's gonna represent the ladies and the variety, you know, the whole box of chocolates theory, the variety with women and what each ethnic group from a female perspective brings to the world, you know, in their own unique way. And I want to represent that in a musical, give a musical representation for me anyway, of what that looks like.
So for the discerning music lover right now that wants to partake of Al Burroughs' music library or your offerings, where do they go to find that online? Okay.
Right now, you can just look up Sticky Beatz, STICKEE, Beats, BEATZ. And I saw a little jump in the listenership from the last show. So thank you guys very much. Yeah, but Sticky Beatz, you can catch it on Pandora. You can catch it on Spotify. Spotify is the one I like. Obviously, you want to get that one. YouTube, you know, all of the different online distributors. You can check all that out there. Also, you can catch me, Al Burroughs, on Al Burroughs page 1, page 2, soon to be page 3 on Facebook and Instagram. And I just got my TikTok account. I'm a little slow with that, but then that you can catch me. Just look for Sticky Beatz. I mean, from what I can tell, I've been looking around. I don't think anybody else spells it like that but me. So if you look for the STICKEEBEATZ, I think you'll get right to me.
Perfect.
Wow. I mean, hey, well, you know, another bag full of knowledge coming from Impresario.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I'm gonna and I was gonna say this offline, but I'm gonna go ahead and make an announcement to y'all. But I just talked with a a friend of mine. I hadn't seen him in 30 years. His name is Matt Bliss, or Atlanta Bliss. He was on, if you look at the video of Prince, what was the, I can't remember the record now. But anyway, he worked with Prince for 6 years. Great guy, blah, 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 blah. Just talked to him last week. And I realized that I could probably ship y'all a whole lot of people like that. So, you know, if y'all listening to the show, stay tuned, because I'm going to be shoveling all kind of people down, you know, for this radio, because I think it's great. And he's got lots of Prince stories.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So John.
Yeah. I met him once way back.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Well, there you go.
And
see, we're gonna make a reunion.
Great individual. Great individual.
Yes. Matt is really cool people. Yeah. Sign of the Times. He was a trumpet player on the video, the video concert, Sign of the Times.
Okay.
Yeah, you can check him out.
Well, again, the clock is staring us at the wall. We hate to bring this to a close. I mean, we could go on and on and on. I mean, but you continue to bring a wealth of knowledge to our listeners, and I know, you know, Achickwitbeatz and I are thankful, and I know they are too. Mm-hmm. So,
hey, you know, anytime, man, anytime. You know, I'll be around. So, you know.
we certainly wish you the best, man, and thanks to you for taking the time for joining us, because your schedules are really busy. When right, Achickwitbeatz?
Yes, we appreciate you.
Hey, definitely. Like I said, just, you know, y'all keep doing what you're doing. I'll keep saying it. Y'all keep doing it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Al Burroughs has joined us today.
All right, and that does it for this edition of Music Marvels with Achickwitbeatz and Breezy Gipson. We thank you for joining us once again. We thank our home stations, Grander Radio, based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and Sparks Radio, based out of Denver, Colorado. And can't wait to do this again next week, right?
That's right. I mean, so much is happening, but this right here is a lot of fun. And it's a win-win. And guess what? It's the listener that wins just for chiming in and checking us out, gathering this knowledge. So, hey.
For sure. We definitely appreciate you. The adventurer, according to our Spotify stats. So they say that's who's listening. So yeah, we definitely appreciate your support. And we hope that you'll join us again next week. So till then, you know where to find us. Tune in, tell a friend. We'll see you then. Peace.
Peace.